.338 Win Mag?
Yeah.
Okay. That one used to be his, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Okay. All of his guns used to be mine. All right, guys. Chuke here with Chuke's Outdoor Adventures. Finally doing another Alaska Roundtable. It's been months and months and months since we've got to do this. We didn't get to do it right, but we got a new guy here. So
Mike Kaler, and go check my channel out. I do a lot of different stuff on the channel. Sometimes it's hunting, guns, random projects around the house.
Saving the gun range from liberal nail droppers. Yes.
Dropping the plow.
Corey Hammerhard Outdoors.
Chuck, Alaskan Ballistics.
So the first one we did Alaska Gun Channels Roundtable, what we carry for bear protection. This is part 2. The first one we got trolled pretty bad, not by everybody, a lot of people liked it, but got a lot of views and a lot of people trolled it because we did mention the 45, but I still stick by that. It's better than a sharpened stick. 45 ACP has killed a lot of brown bears in Alaska. Obviously it's not my first choice, but I'm just going to go through what we use right now for bear protection. Everybody knows I'm a big 10mm fan, so I got a Glock 20. I'm really happy with this. This is Glock 20 Gen 4, 15+1. We're going to look into some of those extended mag pads where I get an extra 5. I think that'd be cool, 20+1, even for a backup mag. But I usually put my TRL 1 on here, and I've got a chest holster from GS Holsters that I use. Now right now that's my go-to secondary backup gun for brown bear. I don't have the Smith & Wesson 500 anymore because I have a trading problem. These guys have been, getting on me for that. And I'm trying to get better at it, but it's a real addiction. But this summer, during probably the middle of salmon season, I am planning on getting a 44 Ruger Alaskan 44 mag. I think the Toklat is a good choice too. I think that's one of the best revolvers for Alaska you can get, but I don't like walking with it. It's a pretty heavy, big revolver.
I've heard they're not making it anymore.
You can still find them though. They're so popular up here. There's tons of them around.
Yeah, that's the ideal revolver. It's just long enough to get all the ballistics. It's still pointable. It is heavy, but Mama didn't raise no pansy.
I guess I'm a pansy. I prefer the Ruger Alaskan 44. It's little snub nose 44, but it's just really durable. And it's very similar to this. Is this the same barrel length?
Yeah, it's the same barrel length. That's my Ruger Red Hawk. They call that the Kenai Backpacker. It's a little bit lighter, and
I feel like the Ruger Alaskan's frame is different.
Yeah, it's a little bit thicker frame.
A little bit thicker frame. It's got the hose rubber grips on it, but it's very similar to this. And if I found a deal, I would get one of these too. But I am planning on getting a Ruger 44. One thing, we're not going to get trolled as bad this time because none of us had 4570s, and now 3 of us have 4570s. They're all the Marlin SBL line. Now this was the Skinner Trapper, but I put a rail on it. I took the Skinner sights off, and I got the Vortex Scout Scope. It's forward mounted.
Who put a rail on it?
Oh, Chuck did. Chuck helped me put a rail on that.
It's like 2 screws, man.
Yeah, I know.
I said Allen screws?
I'm pretty inept, but and Hammerheart's going to help me take this safety off because I think I'd feel more comfortable with that. But this is just hard hitting.
You killed a bear with that, didn't you?
Yeah, and I killed a black bear, and it took like 7 shots because I was using the smaller lever Evolution ammo, and I'm not going to use that anymore.
It's a
what was the deal with those? What's the weight of the bullet and all that?
Actually, I think I had the 325 FTX or whatever.
Yeah. They act like a ballistic tip, so they just expand really.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I was
really
lucky
fast
to hit it because it had those Skinner sights, and I shot at about 45 yards.
Yeah.
So it was like a shoulder shot initially, and then it crawled 150 feet back in the woods, and I hit it a couple more times. Anyways, I ended up shooting it a bunch, but people trolled me for that too, but I don't care. I recovered it and I got it. But anyways, and then I dispatched it with the Extreme Penetrators in the 10mm, and Chuck did that with his 10mm too on our other black bear hunts. So anyways, just roughly that's what I got for bear protection. 4570, a 10mm, the 44 Magnum is coming. And also what we talked about is your rifle should be the first defense if you've got it in your hands, and then the pistol's the backup. And on really dangerous hunts, I have been known to carry a 44 and a 10mm. So anyways, that's my spiel, and I'm sticking to it. Let's see what these guys prefer.
Okay, I just got up here about 2 years ago, and I was in California when I first got my set of, at the time, what I called camp guns. Basically, I got 2 revolvers and 2 lever guns in .357 Magnum. That way I could use 1 round, covers all 4 weapons, and I was in California at the time, so I really needed to watch out what it looked like, not what it actually was. So lever guns and revolvers, you know, people think John Wayne, not some mentally defunct person who's going to go do something bad. So that's where I started. So I'm in the process of building all this stuff for myself. So my first layer in bear country is going to be an AR and .458 SOCOM. And the reason I do that and not a lever gun is because I have so many more rounds with this. I know the manual of arms for the AR platform a lot better. So I'm putting out about 90% of the energy of a 4570 out of the 1895. Yep. So for me, this was a good pick, as well as, you know, I've got the 1 serial number and I can change out uppers to anything else I want. And I've gotten a lot of questions. One of my most popular videos was the one on the feeding issues I had with this. Once I got a mag that was actually clearanced, I haven't had any feeding issues with this thing.
Yeah.
Is that just GI mag?
Yeah, this is just a GI mag, and what they've done is they've clearanced it a little bit.
Oh, okay, they just opened it up. Yeah.
So yeah, had no problem with that. This is my layer, my level 1. So I knock this back before I put it behind us. So layer 2 is going to be a Taurus tracker in .357 Magnum. It's stainless steel. It's ported. This particular one, not being a school-trained gunsmith, so I did take the trigger mechanism and the hammer part, and I just leveled things off. I realized that one of the bars was about as crooked as your set of fingers, so I was really careful with that and worked it, and now it's got a great single action. So for me, it would be, you know, empty that, and then go to this. First shot will be, you know, single action. Hopefully, if I have time. After that, it's just going to be as fast as I can go. And then, I'll put this back here as well. My last layer of defense would be M&P shield in 9mm. I keep it with me, and this is literally like
get lit up in the comment section of that, homeboy.
Yeah.
like covering my head, you know, with one arm and sacrificing my left arm to get this out.
And putting the critical duty you said you carried, you know, if you put that in his jaw bone when he's on top of you,
well,
it's going to do something.
Well,
yeah,
that
and that's all
guy
that's
killed
for.
one with some buffalo boar in 9mm.
Yeah.
Charging grizzly.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then this is where, you know, I start to get feels instead of reels. Hopefully, bear spray will work. I'm really hoping that my situational awareness, or, you know, being out there fishing on the river with guys like you who do look around and see things, that this will be able to work, as well as knowing that if I did have this, I'm going to be backed up by somebody with a 4570, you know, a 12 gauge, you know, a short barrel 12 gauge, something like that, to where hopefully I can employ this. Again, hope, which is not a course of action, and then I'll be backed up by something like that. Yeah.
When I'm walking, like this past year, me and my friend Callie, we walked back to the Russian on the upper trail to the falls, and
that 2 mile trail there.
Yeah,
I got a good story about that place.
It's and that's the only place I've seen in Alaska, a brown bear in Alaska. And I've seen a couple of black bears there several times, but the last time I fished Russian by myself, I saw 6 black bears. I mean, it was crazy. But the walking back there, you know, she was carrying my Glock 40 10mm, and I was carrying my 45 Super, which I'll show in a minute when it's my turn, I guess. But I always have the bear spray. I always have the bear spray in my hands when I'm walking, and that way I don't have to draw it from a holster. I have my orange on the little thumb right there, and if a bear comes out from here to Chuke, which is very likely, that's how close it's going to be, I'm spraying, circling to gain distance, and drawing. And if he goes away with the spray during that time, you know, all I got to do is report, hey, I sprayed a bear to Fish and Game, and I don't have to go through the investigation and the paperwork that Fish and Game is going to. Man, you get more in trouble than you do for killing a human up here. I mean, SB 91, they probably let you out in 3 or 4 years, you know, or 3 or 4 months.
Honestly, I don't think they, having gone through this and having dealt with Fish and Game, if you come correct about a lot of things, they're like, hey, I shot a bear, it was coming up, and it kept coming to me. Like, I don't honestly think everybody thinks that there's like these fish and game detectives. They're like, okay, you killed it. Did you take it out of the field? Like, is it still out there? Where is it at? You know what I mean? Like,
some of them hate hunters, though. I mean, usually the ones I've met are cool, and the state troopers.
I've never met.
I'm glad that they do good, but there are some fish and game biologists. They're liberals. They work for fish and game, and they hate hunters. Those are the guys that'll come and move the ruler a little bit and be like, oh, that's just under 50 inches. You have a misdemeanor and $1,000 fine. And they just hate hunters.
Yeah, I've known people that shot moose that, like, they've had a tag, but they shot one, and it might not have been in the little subsection of the unit.
Mm-hmm.
And we're getting kind of off the subject and stuff, and it's not like, I don't know, maybe on my experiences and stuff, it's like they're going to fine you, but they're not going to take your truck. When I say steal, but yeah, I mean, they're not going to take your truck, plane, all that stuff, you know what I mean? They'll be like, all right.
If you come clean and you're honest.
Yeah, and that's the thing, is if you're
Yeah.
honest and stuff,
Yeah.
that carries, you know what I mean?
It's probably
a lot of the way.
probably why some of them hate hunters, is there's so many poachers in Alaska too. A lot of
Yeah.
people get busted poaching. So I guess I understand that, because there's some just trash out there that just poach.
All right, so let's talk about. I think I'm going to be really quick, just because my guns are pretty much similar to what you guys have. You have 3 different guns. Like, I'm kind of realistic, and like I spent a lot of time. We were talking about this earlier, that like we all are like pretty outdoorsy. We spend a lot of time out in the woods. I'm either doing like any number of things, working on my cabin, hunting, this and that stuff, but I still carry the Taurus, the same one as the Taurus tracker in 44. On this brown bear hunt that I got coming up in May, I have a 338 Win Mag. That's kind of similar to that. It's this 20, what inch barrel?
That's a 24.
A 24. I think mine might be a 24 as well. I can't remember off the top of my head. But basically, this is essentially what I'm going to be carrying to shoot the bear. Then I also have a Marlin 1895, and it's very similar to this one. I think the barrel is 2 inches longer than that one.
And you got the forward-mounted scope on it.
Yeah, I have like a loophole 4-power scout scope on it.
That loophole.
It's just like this, but it's
Yeah.
got like wood furniture or something.
It's like that laminate kind of stock wood or whatever and stuff like that. And that either like the HSM Barlows, which are shoulder killers, or like doesn't like Underwood makes extreme penetrators for those as well and stuff too.
Yeah.
But that's actually going to be my gun that my buddy who's coming up here to hunt with me is going to carry, and then I'm going to have the 338 Win Mag, and then probably just a 44. I was thinking about picking up the 20. In 10 mil and stuff as a backup gun, because I think that can get off a lot more shots than the 44. But I mean, honestly, other than picking up the Marlin, and when we talk about bears, you have to be like, well, what are you talking about bears? Like, if you're like on the Russian, there's a bunch of black bears. All they're doing really, they're already like preoccupied with fish, so they're not very predatory.
They leave you alone most of the time, but there's people charged on the Russian every year.
Oh yeah, so. There is. But yeah, I mean, any one of these, like 45-70, or any one of the bigger, the 10 mils or 44. I wouldn't go any lower than 44, but 10 mils, the big popular round and stuff that I'm looking to get into. So I could talk 10 mil with you guys. But that's my thing. It's basically the same thing as what you guys got.
Okay, guys. So I gave in, and I was going to do the 458 SOCOM because I liked ARs, but Sportsman's Warehouse had a PFD deal on just a basic 45-70 guide gun, octagon barrel, and I might send this out to. There's a Grizzly Customs in Montana who can give me a big loop even with the straight stock here, and maybe do some Cerakoting. I've been talking with him on Instagram, so go make sure you check him out. But I like the 45-70. It shoots. I was thinking about getting the Henry, and then I didn't want to do the top loading. But I've noticed in the cold, this thing's so hard to load on the side anyway when we were shooting it
really
that day.
tough with the 45-70.
Yeah, so it really wouldn't matter if you chose the Henry or the Marlin. They're both smooth. They're both well done. Taking the crossbolt safety out is a good idea. I may not get to that soon. But we were talking about how we would carry this thing. We carry it in the half cock safety off. But that would be the main bear defense rifle, because the energy on these things is like 3,500 to 4,000 with the plus P buffalo bore stuff, and you can just while foot-pounds of energy isn't what's going to kill the bear, it certainly gives them more of a headache and more tissue damage. You know, the penetration to the vitals, the vital central nervous system, is what's going to stop the bear. I tell people all the time, they're like, should I go 44 or 10 millimeter? And I go, whichever one you think you can shoot the best, because, you know, even a 9 millimeter with that Buffalo Bow hard cast that the guy shot it with, it's where you hit it. You know, a 800-pound bear moving at 25 miles an hour, do the math. All right, and somebody in the comment section check my math. The last time I did it, I think it was 22,000 foot-pounds of energy. You're not going to physically stop the bear with a 50 BMG at 12,000 foot-pounds of energy. You know, so it's kind of what can you shoot accurately, can you shoot fast, can you point, and get the shots on target. And I think this is just so much handy, and the lever is so reliable. So that's probably going to be walking with me this summer. A pump shotgun, I have a 12 gauge. I just didn't bring it because honestly I couldn't find where I put the short barrel. I have an 870 that I switch out the barrels, and I put it in some case, and I was looking through all my stuff, but yeah, like an idiot. So troll me hard in the comments for that. Who loses a barrel? But anyway, I'll find it for fishing season. But you know, a 12 gauge with a short barrel. The only thing I say about 12 gauge is you have to lacquer your rounds, because almost no shotgun slug is waterproof. I think we said it last year's video too. But me and a buddy out caribou hunting flipped a kayak, and he was carrying my 12 gauge because he didn't have a permit and I did, and he was just the meat carrier. And I laughed at him because he walked back up the hill and I took the kayak down, and we kind of split up. It was an emergency situation. Then we went back and found him, and he had my 44 mag out at the time, that little single action I traded you, and he had that in his hands and just had the 12 gauge, and there was brown bear poop everywhere. And I'm sitting here going, that's an idiot. But went back to the range with the same rounds that got dunked. Click, click, click every time I tried to shoot them. Black Magic Magnums. So that's the one thing of you even the 4570 has a little bit better water protection, but you should still probably lacquer it. All right.
When you say lacquer the round, are you just saying like, are you using like a nail polish lacquer, or just kind of like painting over the entire round?
There's actually a wax seal, and you just paint the edge of the crimp or where the bullet meets the casing, and just the primer pocket. Okay. And it's a wax sealant you can buy. I'll have to do a video on that.
Yeah.
My buddy Mario did it. As you might have saw on KS Gun Guy's channel, he has a great video. Glock Model 40 shoots so much smoother than the 20 in my opinion, and just that extra inch and 4/10 of barrel over the 20, you get with extreme penetrators. I'm getting 800 pounds of energy, and we're going to do some hand loads this spring as well, and you get just such a great load. I carried this in the woods today while I was out snowshoeing with the dogs, and it's just GS holsters right here, and it's just in such a handy spot, and you can't hardly beat this thing. It's extremely accurate. I have, since KS Gun Guy showed it, put on Trigicon suppressor height night sights. So
I was going to ask you about that. Do you have an optic for it, or do you plan on putting an optic on it?
You know, I'm just not comfortable with an optic. Every time I've drawn it, I'm not used to it.
Yeah, I agree. I was just wondering why you put the raised sights on it.
And the reason why I put the raised sights, eventually I get a threaded barrel and probably a suppressor, 45 caliber suppressor. So
yeah,
that's that. Try not to ramble on too much. Most of the time I'm carrying my 45 Super though. So it's an interesting looking gun. It's a lone wolf barrel. It's a 22-pound spring. It took me a while to get it running right, but I got a compensator on it to help with the extra recoil. But you know, 10 millimeter is great. 10 millimeter may expand, but 45 is not going to shrink. And 45 Super, I've got a 200 grain hard cast going 1,400 feet per second out of this barrel, and a 255 grain hard cast going 1,200 feet per second out of this barrel. I'm up over 800 pounds of energy, just like the 10 mil, but it's a bigger hole. You know, and 13 rounds. Had to put the rolling mag springs in there. Can't hardly squeeze the mag in, that full mag in there without it being the action open. It's not a 13 plus 1 anymore. It's just straight up. In fact, I put 12 in the mag, chamber one, and then take the mag out and put my 13th one in. So that's how tight those rolling mag springs are. But they make the gun function really well. And this is an old Gen 3 frame, non-SF, so it's a really strong frame. And I like this thing. It shoots great. It's very accurate with that lone wolf barrel. Very often, especially in the winter, I've been throwing a 10 millimeter in my pocket. This is the 29, And this thing's sweet. If you saw my last video, you can still get 700 pounds of energy out of the 29 with those 155 grain Underwood. So, although this is more concealed carry ammo, but the extreme penetrators and the trophy bonded jacketed soft points from Federal, which act not like a soft point, they act like a jacketed hard cast when they hit stuff. So I do that. This one's got some type of tungsten or titanium guide rod. I bought it used. I don't know what the guide rod is, but man, is it really accurate and really smooth on the lockup. So I really like the Glock 29. Stick that in my coat pocket very often, and that's if I'm out snowshoeing. That's generally I have that in that coat pocket, and I have this one in the other coat pocket, the 44 Magnum Kenai backpacker. If I'm
You're like
out
Paul
snowshoeing.
Harrell with the big jacket with two
Yeah.
pistols and just in the.
Except I'm better looking,
That guy's the
so
best,
you know.
man.
All right,
You know
so
that guy blew somebody away?
yeah, I know he's actually
The
did.
guy was trying to run him over with a truck, and he
Yeah.
shot him in the vehicle. You ever hear that?
That's too bad that you're his enemy then.
No, I'm not his enemy. He just he actually deleted those comments because I told people he he didn't respond positively to some of my comments one time. But that's that. So that's my bear protection. My 19 usually stays on my side all the time. So if I'm out in the woods, I'll put some extreme penetrators in it in case the bear gets everything else. But I'm usually carrying, if I know I'm going into bear country, one long gun, two handguns, and then a personal defense gun or a 22 for grouse or something like that.
So there's something to talk about real quick. Is that so like in my job, I actually knew like one of the commanding officers, my unit and stuff, actually got attacked by a bear, and this guy's huge. I mean, like he is like like prime specimen of man and stuff. This guy had no time whatsoever. It was like boom happened on him, and it was like over, and then like you hear this guy tell a story. I honestly think one gun is pretty much like you only, you know what I mean? Like I'm not gonna knock somebody for carrying more than one gun, but you know what I mean? Like if the thing's like, if it's not like an ornery bear, if it's not like an attack mode, if it's not a South Cubs, it might like do its little thing, like it's like curious bear and stuff. It might circle around you, and then you just back off and do your thing and stuff like that. But honestly, if that thing's coming at you, I only kind of feel you're only going to have like one chance to either use one gun and stuff. And I mean, like, with that being said, there's probably that one story, that guy that had 3 different guns and shot one and, like emptied
Sure.
that one, went to the next one.
I've heard stories like that for
Yeah.
sure.
And I think that's why you have the bear spray in your hand is to gain time.
Yeah.
I think that's the advantage
Yeah,
of
you
having
wind
the
up,
bear spray.
you know.
Like, I'm borrowing your bear spray here, but just have it in your hand. It's got this little loop. I carry it in the loop right there. Sorry, I don't mean to point it at you. But then you just, to gain time, I'm literally walking around like this with my finger on the safety orange thing, and you flip and spray. And I'm not going to do that in here because this stuff stinks to high heaven, but that's why you do it. That's why you have that bear spray.
Well, and this, like you said, to gain time, the reality of it is that you're going to get a few seconds
At best.
to be able to make that decision.
Yeah.
So if you've got something like that, because one of those interesting things is that, yes, there are plenty of stories out there of bears and or people who didn't get affected by it for whatever reason. But the body actually detects the capsicum as physical damage. So basically it detects that as the same thing as being hit with a hard object like a bat or that idea. The body detects it as real pain.
And
so again, if you can buy yourself time. And another thing too is you were talking about being able to draw a gun or multiple guns like out of a holster or something, and that's a training issue.
Yeah.
You guys some of you guys already started it with something as simple as taking a little sled, putting a target on it and pulling it towards you. That may not, we could talk about, how fast was it moving and all that, but the idea is still there that you were in a compressed time frame and you weren't able to just sit out there and be like, oh, hey guys, is the camera rolling? Watch this. One, press, got a couple on some steel, and great, which is good training.
We want to do that again
Yeah.
with one of your guys' snow machines.
Yeah,
Let's do that
you guys
before
did-
the winter's over.
Yeah, and he's referencing a video Chuke and I did on the bear charging drill.
Yeah.
Would you survive? And I think you got 18,000 views, and I got like 13,000. But it's a good training. We had a bear
No, I
target on a
thought
sled.
that was a great
so-
video too, because it's like get outside of the flat range mindset and stuff, and like have something that's close in distance on you.
So be on the lookout for another one of those guys. We got to wrap it up here, but Michael Kaler, Hammer Hard Outdoors, Alaska Ballistics, please subscribe to him, and be on the lookout for more Alaska Roundtable videos.
So this one time, I was out on the Russian.
Yeah.
Outdoor adventure.